Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the stage. My name is F. and I'm joined here by your European MVP. Goes by adapting in the game, and I just want to say congratulations. This trophy, this one's yours. And I have a couple questions for you. Don't drop that one, though. You guys have made it a long time, only a single loss, and a lot of them, if you go back and look at the games, I think they could say that they were won on the back of you. What does it take to be an MVP?
I don't know, just a lot of dedication, just passion for the game. You need to love what you do and just dedicate your heart and soul into it, really.
Well, we've definitely seen the dedication both here on the stage and at home on the screen. And I just want to, was it a surprise to you that you're the one taking home the European trophy?
It's not like I expected it, but I thought I had a chance of getting it for sure.
Hard work? I mean, hard work pays off, and right here is proof in the pudding. Before I let you go, is there anything you want to say to your friends, family, or fans at home?
Yes, shout outs to all my viewers, all my fans, my friends, family, everyone watching. Thank you all so much. Love you guys.
Again, thank you so much, and congratulations to our European MVP adapting, and on to Kelly at the analyst desk.
Thank you so much, F. We are joined here by Incontinentia. How are you doing, Incon?
Doing great. How about you, Kelly?
I'm doing great. And I mean, we just saw a big upset right there, and maybe we'll see another upset, guys. It is going to be Cloud9 versus Enemy. But before we get into that, we have a few things to talk about. As you can see on the screen right now, everyone, we have the brackets for the World Championships.
That's actually us.
Oh, well, we did have There we go.
Okay. I was about to say, I'm like, that's me. Like, I'm going to Worlds, boys. Yeah.
Adonis, walk us through this.
Hold on. So at the top, we have a set of preliminary rounds where all you have to do from there is win a single game. If you do, you'll advance into the final 8-team bracket where we can see the first seeds from both regions already seeded. If you lose your first round matchup, you drop down to the lower end of the bracket. And basically, it depends. If you win your first game and then your second, you have a higher seed. You won't have to face the first, the top seeds until the semifinals. If you lose a game or if you lose both you're out. And if you lose just one game and then win the other, then you're kind of facing off against the higher seeds early on.
And that's why it's really important right now for these teams to win first place, although we see 3 European teams made it through the World Championships, and we have these 2 North American teams now. But even though they've already made it, they really want that seed. Why is this seed so important to them?
There's more comfortability where you don't have to play, for the first day or two. I'm not sure how many days exactly for that preliminary rounds, but when you can study the opponents and prepare it's just that much of an advantage. And obviously, Epsilon had the upset with Paradigm. Paradigm just pulled through. And Paradigm now has more time to study than Epsilon. Epsilon's going to have to jump right away and just play against teams that they don't know anything about necessarily cross-region, unless they really do their homework somehow.
Also at the World Championships, everyone, if you're not aware, we are going to be having the Xbox League there. There it is, the Xbox bracket, Adonis.
It's just the 4 teams that we've qualified into the Xbox World Championships for $150,000. We've already qualified a winner from UMG, Team Elevate. We're also going to be qualifying a team out of MLG. The Pro League's currently going on. That land's going to be, I believe, early December. We're going to have the ESL land in UK to qualify the top European team, which will be happening, I believe, November 27th to the 29th. That's going to be between Reason Gaming's going to be in that tournament. Just throwing out there, Reason Gaming, we're back, boys. RG Life.
Oh, no.
They're going to be playing in that tournament. And then finally, there's going to be the open bracket at the Smite World Championship, which I heard tales of some of Incon's friends here going to be switching over and making their run for that spot.
You never know. Sometimes Worlds is just in the cards for you, maybe on a different platform.
Are you going to?
You never know. You never know who might show up.
Okay.
So we actually have a graphic, I believe, of the prizing breakdown for the World Championships. There we go. This is for the Xbox. The total prize pool is $150,000. First place is going to get $75,000. Second place is going to get $37.5, and of course, third and fourth is going to be getting 16.7, 18. My bad, everyone. I don't have glasses. And here we have the World Championships, everyone. We have $1 million total prize pool, $500,000, and I guess you guys can probably read.
Yeah, so first place we have $500,000. Second place is going to be $230,000. Third through fourth, $75,000. Fifth through eighth, $25,000. While ninth and 10th walk home with $10,000 each.
Oh, Anatoly, you have such great
Anatoly can
eyesight.
read.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
So before we get into Cloud9 and Enemy, guys, we have a few other things we need to talk about. Something that has been talked about with the last patch notes is the Tier 5 Thor skin. As anime as it can get. I'm really excited. Have you guys actually seen the skin?
Yeah, I've seen it behind closed doors. It looks pretty intense.
Well, we're going to take a deeper look into it right now, everyone, with the Thor skin preview.
Full swing. And just like last year, there's a collection bonus when you get all of the items. Now, last year it was the Tier 5 Archon Thanatos. This year, with the announcement of the Japanese Pantheon, we wanted to do a skin for one of our most popular gods, Thor, that celebrated modern Japanese culture. We wanted to give you guys a sneak peek at all of the work that went into making this skin.
We've been planning for this skin since June. We started with concepts and then we decided what kind of things that we wanted to put into the skin.
We started off concepting just different ideas to do something really cool that the community would like. The one challenge with this guy was to make a really big character that actually looks and feels like an anime character.
We were both given the task of designing the pilot and
some nice
what
and
the
grilled
mech would
fish.
look like. 'Cause I normally don't think of like mechs wielding around a giant hammer, but it was a lot of fun. Tried to make it look like anime, but still have something to do with like, you know, Norse mythology, I guess, in a way. It's a nice challenge and I gladly accepted it.
Animation for Thor, we wanted it to be very dynamic. So, you know, pieces flying in as he's transforming into this, from this pilot to this mech.
One of the things we really liked about this year's Epic skin is that it had two different presentations, as opposed to last year's that kind of built up. Having two different presentations gives us more to sink our teeth into, and it also gives, hopefully, the end user a more empowered feel as they level up through the character. With the help of some very good rigging, we actually have the pieces to build the transformation, and everything can kind of snap on and transform, and basically make the pilot truly a mech pilot.
Not only do we have two characters that we have to do separate sets of effects for, but we also have a kind of a different, more Japanese stylistic take on the effects. Robot armor is just really unique and different feeling from everything else that we've done. He has a cool foot thruster glide when he's in combat mode versus his regular run. When he kills minions, he gets the ragdoll impulse that we normally reserve for abilities and stuff. It's really awesome and fulfilling to play.
We wanted to have Thor have his own soundtrack. All the music is baked into each map, so we had to redesign how our engine played sound.
We decided that, you know, doing more of an electronic score, using some synthesizers. Generally, the Smite music's this big, over-the-top, epic, orchestral, choir kind of theme. We ditched all that and said, all right, no over-the-top orchestra. We want this over-the-top fun.
One of the things that the team really wanted to have was a card that would start in his pilot form and then move into his fully mechanized form. It's pretty cool.
The Ragnarok Force X skin has been one of the biggest undertakings we've done, but it's also been a labor of love, and we really enjoy putting it together for you guys, and we hope that you really enjoy it. And all of that is leading into, of course, the launch next year of our new Pantheon, the Japanese Pantheon, that we really can't wait for you guys to get a look at. And we'll have even more details coming on the new Pantheon at the Smite World Championship in 2016.
Ragnarok X Thor, everyone. Anime Thor, as I like to call it there. And that is what you get for the final purchase of the Odyssey. Or overall purchase of the Odyssey. But, everyone, we have something a little bit to talk about, just a little bit. But we've mentioned before that the Japanese Pantheon is going to be the next Pantheon that we add into Smite. You guys can see the logo right there. And, you know, stay tuned for the World Championships. That's when we'll be going a lot more in depth on it. But that is all we have for right now. But we have some Smite teams to talk about. Cloud9 versus Enemy. You know, I mean, at first look, you would just give it to Cloud9, right? Like how we gave it to Epsilon. But this has been a tournament of upsets. Do you think Enemy has it in them to beat Cloud9?
Unfortunately, I don't think so. Reason being why Enemy, they had a little bit of an easier road through their two opponents first. So they went through a broken TSM road. Let me explain. Let me explain, Incon. Let me explain. I think that they went through a broken TSM team. Obviously, mentally, they just weren't there. They were overestimating Enemy quite a lot. And Envious, unfortunately, with the roster changes that you even mentioned yourself, you know, you guys had a little bit of time to prepare. It was working out well for you guys, but it was a little bit too early to prepare that. And that's Enemy definitely showed up to play. And C9, they had to play a COG team that threw a lot at them, and they always had to adapt. Even though they won 3-0 in that series, I feel like C9 definitely played really well with what was against them. Also, they had to go through Ullr in a 5-game series, which was really intense.
And we could see how like throwing teams off with kind of crazy strats can work sometimes, and the fact that I mean just that last game, Epsilon versus Paradigm, we had the Blink, Wukong, Red Steel, and even though they were down 8 kills, they were up about 5,000 gold, and Paradigm had the hell. Like, that was their game plan, was even if we don't find the kills, we have this strategy where we get ahead in gold off of early Gold Fury and objective control, and then kind of steal away buffs, and we have the hell to carry his late game. And Cloud9 showed a great ability to adapt to crazy situations and strategies against Cognitive in like 3 different strategies.
Incon, you played against Enemy. Who out of their team do you feel has been shining?
Their ADC Vetium is incredibly strong. He's been playing his brains out this weekend and this week. He's having a great time right now. He's been getting compared to BaRRaCCuDDa, Zatman, allied these top ADCs in the world because he has shown up at this LAN, and I continue to expect him to be carrying their team.
So what gods do you guys expect out of Vetium? Rom, like we see here on the screen?
He's played Soul and Neath, I think, primarily in the tournaments. Rom, not necessarily his go-to pick, but he's definitely played it, and I could see him excelling at it and playing it again if their strategy relies on protecting him.
But he's going to be going up against BaRRaCCuDDa, who is an amazing hunter. Adonis, how do these two players match up against each other?
I think kind of BaRRaCCuDDa told the story earlier when he was on the pregame show for the EU set, where he said that, you know, Zatman is kind of this aggressive hunter who likes to play aggro, but he's still very skilled, where BaRRaCCuDDa is a defensive hunter and likes to like outplay his opponent, and a lot of the trades go even, although BaRRaCCuDDa is typically on the back foot. I do expect to see the same style coming out of Vetium, where he's going to be the aggressor, but the trade's likely to come out even because BaRRaCCuDDa is very good at kind of baiting his enemies, maybe waiting for the rotation from andinster or even JeffHindla to come and look to set up for an early kill.
BaRRa definitely one of the safest hunters in Smite, always known for having an extremely low death count. There was a one point this season where he didn't die for like 4 weeks in a row or something insane, like through 9 games, and that's just the story of BaRRa, is he loves playing defensive and then showing up higher level, more gold, more farm than the enemy ADC in team fights, and really showing up there and getting the kills.
Well, let's talk about their supports. Jeff the JeffHindla and PainDeViande, 2 amazing supports. And PainDeViande, you know, not just being the captain of the team, but the only one with LAN experience, has really been showing up at this tournament. How do you feel about this matchup?
I feel like PainDeViande has been controlling his troops very efficiently throughout the whole series that they played. He's just always in the right places, making the right calls, and we hear him in comms. He's not a dictator, but he's more like asking questions, like, can we do this, can we do that? Everybody's giving input. It's a very positive environment around him that he establishes. JeffHindla also makes calls, but not as much as PainDeViande necessarily, and they have very similar playstyles also, where they're usually the ones initiating first over their junglers. So we'll see gods necessarily like Athena and Sobex, I think, out of these two.
I kind of want to talk about comms a little bit because we actually heard a fair amount of enemies. And the way it sounds is Pain, like if he makes a final call, like he is General Pain, right? That's like his new nickname. If he makes a call, a final call, that happens. But it seems like Vetium's making the majority of the calls, and then Pain's suggesting a bunch of themes for Vetium, and then Pain will be the one that's like, okay, this is the final call. We're going to do Fire Giant, push this, do this, do this. And Pain's also very positive in comms. Like, they're like, don't worry about. He's like, don't worry about this. This is how we can play it. He's always keeping his troops in line and making sure that they don't ever get down on themselves.
Jeff and Pain are definitely very similar, as you mentioned. They love sharing information. That is their big thing. It doesn't matter if it seems pointless at the time. It's important to them, and it may affect something later down the road. They're going to let you know every movement of the enemy ADC, of the enemy jungler, what abilities they have up, where they're putting down wards. They're communicative, and that's very, very important in the support role.
So, I mean, we seem to be giving it to Cloud9 here, but I think the matchup to really look at that might be equal footing is Baskin versus saltmachine. saltmachine has been so good this tournament, and Baskin's a little bit newer, and we've seen him kind of falter a little bit. What do you think of this matchup? Well,
saltmachine definitely stepped up this LAN. He played a lot of warriors in the SPL split. He's shown up on the Guan Yu against the Hades of Bickham, where he got a solo kill on him, and just from there, I think ever since that game, he's just really stepped it up. And I think on the opposite side with Baskin, he leans a little bit more on the Bolognas and the Xing Qians. And I think saltmachine's just not afraid to kind of diversify his god pool, especially in this LAN where the stakes are on.
Salt Machine is actually a different player this lane, in my opinion. Baskin, you see on screen though, he's going to have an interesting matchup because Baskin not necessarily known for like completely dominating his lane, where Salt Machine, he is actually a ranked player. Like that's where he came from. He loves playing aggro. He likes just beating players because that's the ranked style. It's like, I'm just going to beat my lane and carry. And then he really suffered, I think, during the fall split because he had that mentality. During this lane, though, we've seen so many more rotations, so many more team fights from him. And even Pain, when he was on the analyst set earlier, he's like, yeah, we were fighting, and then we were losing, and then Salt Machine was there. It was like, oh my god, I have a soul laner? Like, he was a little bit surprised. So Salt Machine, you know, the rotations from him have really opened up, I think, enemy's playstyle, and I think that's why they're doing so well right now in this lane.
I definitely expect enemy soul laner to be their strong suit in this matchup. When you look at the other lanes for Cloud9, it's players that have been around for so long. The Jeff BaRRa lane, MLC Stealth, Andy in the jungle. Baskin, he's the new talent that's coming around, and while being a very strong player, that's going to be the lane the enemy needs to focus on if they want to start taking games off of Cloud9.
Well, then how do they focus on it? How do they prioritize and capitalize on having such a strong solo laner?
It could just be dependent on if you have the better solo jungle combination. Maybe look for an invade. We haven't really seen too many invades this lane coming in the solo lane, but if anything, especially coming out of North America, if there's ever time to see it, it would be this series.
Well, we saw some unique picks in that previous set. Finrer, Habwa, Hell, Amir. Hell usually doesn't make it through. Do you guys expect anything like that in this game?
Not from these solo laners. I don't see Salt Machine playing anything crazy. The craziest thing we'll see is probably a Finrer from Baskin. We've seen Khepri a little bit, but that's a Guardian too. Like, we're not going to see anything outside of maybe a Finrer pick.
What about outside of those lanes?
Outside of those lanes, you could always see a switch up, especially considering that both teams got to look at the EU meta, and a lot of Europeans, at least earlier, I would say, in the week, not so much Paradigm and Epsilon, but borrowed from NA a lot, especially the Soul Lane style. Maybe we'll see some switch-ups in the jungle, maybe some more Bastetts, although Adjust already plays Bastet a lot, so I don't know. I don't think we'll see anything too different than we've seen so far.
So we've seen 2 Hogs the entire tournament, and I believe both of those teams have won with both of those Hogs?
No, the COG game versus C9, that game was the loss.
But Sun Wukong Hog worked out. Did it work because of that?
Yes, honestly. Like, the Sun Wukong... there were so many layers to that final game of Epsilon, I would say, but the Sun Wukong Hog and the fact that even though Paradigm were giving up kills, they were able to get Gold Furies. It's kind of like you have to make sure you can control the objective if you get Hog. Like, if you don't win those objectives, it's pointless.
Yeah, it's one of those things where the biggest thing you're using it for is catching your enemy off guard. Nobody expects you to be able to do Gold Fury at 3 minutes in 10 seconds, or lower. People don't expect that to be coming out. And so it doesn't work multiple times in a row, but it is a pocket strategy that you can pull out and try to use. Cognitive actually used it very effectively in their games, but they couldn't quite put the game away because they weren't using enough pressure elsewhere. But that strategy is not bad, but it's not my favorite, but it does work sometimes, but you can't use it more than once.
Especially when you have Hell.
Yeah, it kind of works because you had Hell.
Yeah, having Hell in itself is kind of the best strategy right now. So,
I mean, we're not going to see another Hell, though, especially after seeing that last game.
I think we can. I think Epsilon definitely could have beaten the Hell. I think some of their mid-game team fights were awkward, and they didn't play them the best. But Hell can be beat. It's just you have to invest a lot of... if Hell is probably one of the few gods that you actually can't leave alone or you lose the game, right? There's some gods that it's like, wow, I really probably shouldn't leave the Xbalanque alone, which probably look to focus him out. But Hell is actually like, if she gets full build, you are going to lose the game.
She's one of the few gods in the game that you have to actively think about every moment of the game that you're going against this Hell. You have to build into anti-healing items early. You have to get your weakening curse done, preferably by the 10-minute mark. You've got to get, Brawler's beat sticks. Maybe your ADC has to mix up their build and work that in if you can't get a Divine Ruin elsewhere. You have to be actively thinking about how you're going to counter the Hell throughout the entirety of the game. And if you drop that ball for one team fight, then it's out of control.
Do you guys think we're going to see any respect bans in here?
I think there's going to be some Xingqian bans for both of the solo laners specifically.
Is that a respect ban?
Some Xingqians went through in the land so far, so I don't think that both these solo laners really like Xingqian, so I definitely expect that. We might see a Neath ban coming out, especially if they're kind of leaning towards Soul. So for example, whoever's first pick might be looking for the Soul first pick, and they'll want to ban out the Neath probably.
You guys think anything else?
I don't think we'll see respect bans until the middle of the set, if anything. That's typically how it is. It kind of comes down to game 4. You're like, all right, cannot deal with this Freya Bacchus.
There's
Right? I got to get rid of it.
There's going to be one crucial respect ban, and Cloud9 needs to ban it, and that is Athena. If they don't ban PainDeViande's Athena, they will regret it. I know we did. They will regret it if they don't ban it. He is absolutely amazing on that particular god, and it works so well with his presence. He loves to be actively talking, saying, hey, can we gank mid? Hey, can I go here? Hey, can I dash in here? And it works so well because you can just do it all the time. Athena can initiate every 10 seconds with her dash, and having that ability to do that, not to mention with the ultimate being able to rotate over to solo lane, possibly put extra pressure over there on Baskin, that's going to be their number one pick for me.
Speaking of respect bans, we actually forgot about Andister's Thor. Like, that's always has to be up there for discussion.
It's weird, though, because Thor really kind of fell off at this tournament.
Has he fell off, though? He seems to be doing well with, like, we've seen amazing Thor walls, but we just haven't seen high Thor damage. Are people going utility Thor? Is that even a thing?
I mean, Thor transfers to utility later in the game, I would say, but it's really about getting early pressure, and some of the mids right now are very hard to dive as Thor. Zhong, Zeus, like, the turnaround potential in mid is really high, so we are not seeing too many ganks in mid lane unless a player is out of position, and at this high of a level, you don't really see that often. A lot of times it's catching solo laners off guard more than anything, and that just isn't happening because you don't... It's good to invest to getting your solo laner ahead, but you always risk Gold Furies too, so it's awkward.
I think right now, a lot of the times, too, the junglers, particularly for this lane, are favoring team fight-oriented junglers right now. So we're seeing Batz being one of the biggest priority picks right now for the jungle. Not quite high enough priority to be getting banned over characters like the Xing 10, but he is high enough priority to be picking in those first, second picks, and we're seeing a lot of that.
Fnatic actually first picked him against Eager, and it worked out really well.
That's incredibly strong. We're showing the presence, and that's one of those things I love about lands is some gods become so important where nobody comes into land thinking, Batz is going to be the best pick, and all of a sudden you're like, Batz is winning every game. We best get that on our team if we want to get to the top of the land.
So the only reason that we're seeing Serket is for countering?
I mean, we saw in the last game where the Serket was picked trying to counter the Hell, but it just wasn't enough, honestly. The Hell just took off in the late game.
But why do people seem to be prioritizing her, not just picking but banning?
She actually kind of felt in North America. She's still Europe. Like I don't know. Europe doesn't like Serket, but in A, it's still pretty high priority. However, you have to win early a lot. Not win early, but you have to put pressure out. You need to have a lead going into the mid game because Serket does fall off into the late game a little bit if the team knows how to properly protect against and play around the Serket.
Yeah, the Serket's getting picked right now almost, I think, more as a comfort pick than she is as necessarily the best pick. Junglers throughout the entirety of this season, particularly in North America, had to play Serket every game she was open if she wasn't banned because she was so strong throughout this season. So once you get to a land, sometimes it's all about who is your comfort pick gods that you want to be playing on stage because it can get nerve-wracking up there.
All right, guys, real quick before we get into game one with the casters, what are your predictions?
I got to give it to C9, 3-1.
I'd say C9, 3-2.
I'm going to give it as well to C9, 3-1, but they need to be extra careful about going against enemy in this first game.
So with everything that's been going on, enemy's going to win. All right, everyone, let's go to game one with the casters.
Thank you very much, Kelly. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the commentary desk. I am hi-rez BaRRaCCuDDa, joined by Brandon, Juice DM, and of course, the one and only Weekend from NVS.
Can I be Weekend?
You can be Weekend today.
All right. Sure.
You don't have to be Brandon. You can choose who you want to be.
No, anyone else.
Anyone else?
Yes.
Okay. You can be Peckies.
No, you have to be Peckies.
Everyone loves Peckies. It's game number one from North America. It's a best of 5 to see who is the number 1 seed going into Worlds. Both of these teams have already qualified, remember? And, well, we got a good one on our hands. Enemy Cloud9.
I don't know. My team just fed. Like, I was really good.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that, remember when you ulted his... No. So, Enemy. Definitely the surprise of this tournament so far. Are you surprised at Enemy's performance?
They came out swinging. I mean, they've definitely done their prep and been ready for it.
Vetium versus BaRRaCCuDDa are going to be factoring pretty heavily into this game. One would think Vetium's seen a lot of success in the dual lane versus top North American hunters. How will he do against what is effectively like the safest hunter player imaginable?
He's the most valuable player in North America, from what I understand.
BaRRaCCuDDa?
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. His god pool is a little bit bigger than Vetium's, so I feel like he's going to know the matchups that Vetium is going to stick to and then know the ones on top of it.
Do you think Vetium's going to go to that Soul? We saw him go to that a couple times. It's been mostly showing Xbalanque for him so far this tournament.
Neath too, right? His Neath is really strong. I feel like his Neath is probably his strongest, but Soul would be his fallback.
We've seen Soul being the priority pick, though, and you got to think, picking that kind of super aggro god in a player like BaRRaCCuDDa probably isn't going to pay dividends.
mean, he's just going to kite the whole time, one would imagine.
You can shut down his farm with it, though, by pushing all the creeps in the tower, and BaRRaCCuDDa is an amazing farmer. That's what he's known
That's
for.
right. Well, we saw in the set you guys played that Allied Purple Pot Soul just wasn't really converting much gold out of that pot, right? And then if you just stall the lane out versus the Purple Pot Soul, you end up basically just coming out a little bit ahead in gold, even if, as long as she doesn't find a first blood. But we're underway in the draft. It's enemy versus Cloud9. Enemy going to be taking the first pick position and the order side of the map. And right away off the board is Hell. I don't know about that Hell in the first pick position. It means that enemy doesn't want to play it, one would imagine.
Well, for me, I think this ban is extremely representative of the weakness of this team, and that's Cloud9's going to go just give Saltmachine whatever he wants. It doesn't, or
except for
Xbalanque. And just let Baskin do his thing. I think Saltmachine is not a worry for them, but the skill difference between the two solo laners is very, very large.
Should be, but I mean, you would have thought Bickham could have had the edge over Saltmachine, or at least it was a 50-50, and he got
no offense to TSM, but if you're losing solo lane as Hades to Guan, right, there are other things to talk about.
True, fair enough.
And Baskin is not going to have that issue. I mean, Baskin goes even with Cyclone. He's going even with Omega. I mean, he's proven to be an extremely, extremely powerful player. For me, I think this is Khaos versus MLC. MLC's had a good weekend, but Khaos has been strangely refreshing to watch with a new style of I'm going to just farm like an ADC while my duo actually does all the fighting, and I'm going to get fed like an ADC and then Ogni-Bond people to hell.
Well, Seoul is going to be banned out by Cloud9 with their final ban, Xing10, Bologna, Hell, rounding out the rest of the bans overall. That's going to be the first pick, Zhong, and I think there's a lot of people out there rolling their eyes on this one.
Whoa. I mean, like, against C9?
Right. Well, you got to think, anytime you see Zhong drafted by enemy or Cloud9 in this tournament, we said it a lot during Eager's games yesterday, was that Eager and Cloud9 played a very bloody 5-game set that has Zhong in every game, and Zhong lost every game. So you got to think Cloud9 is going to be prepared for this. They're going to be picking up a natural shell carrier here somewhere in their draft.
First option for Cloud9, 2 picks. They could look for a Hunter. I mean, an early Neath isn't always the best pick, but taking it away from Vetium seems like a good idea to me.
Yeah, Neath would be a great pick. I wouldn't be
surprised
surprised
open.
to see Serket or Thor. Serket does well against Zhong, and Andy's Thor is insane. So
that's definitely what they're thinking about is, do we take Serket or do we take Thor here? Xbalanque going to be drafted from BaRRaCCuDDa. Going to put some pressure on Vetium, and they'll take the Khepri on top of it as well. They'll be giving away the pick of the jungle to enemy.
So yeah, Serket, Thor, both available still. And I'd be very afraid giving Gods to Adjust. I mean, Adjust was like single-handedly like the carry for Game 5. I mean, that Hunbot's ult turned everything.
No, Adjust is an amazing player, but Andy. Andy is far and away one of the best players in the world. You give him counter matchup, I can't see him losing it.
It's fun. It's funny. Andinster, once upon a time was kind of like one of the most popular players. Everyone knew Andinster was a household name, and he has continued to play at that level forever. And at this point, people are just kind of like, oh, well, yeah, Andinster, he's just going to, destroy. It's become like this foregone conclusion that Andinster, I mean, back in the day, it was like anytime you ask any player anywhere in the world, you'd be like, who's the scariest player to play against? It was like, no question, Andinster. Who do you not want to see in ranked? Andinster. Who do you not want to play against? Andinster.
Rumor, by the way, that continues. Please,
yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. It's like we just kind of stopped talking about it, but Andinster is still like the premier player.
Okay.
No Andy, no Incon. So it's going to be Humbots Athena. Versus the Zeus. Now, the Zeus here has a little bit more viability than normal, considering the Khepri pick can keep him a lot safer. Remember, Khepri also gives him power as well. Serket getting banned. Super smart, though, from enemy to try to
give
shut
away
that
Andy's
down.
Thor, which is very likely to be drafted here by Cloud9 unless enemy wants to pick it up.
I'd be surprised with that, especially with the matchup to protect the Zeus. It'd be great.
Wow, so they're actually going to hold Andy's pick until looks like the end of the draft here for Cloud9. Why do you think that's the case, Weekend?
Might see that Mercury pick.
They're going to see if they're going to pick any more CC on the side of enemy and whether or not they think they can free up a Mercury into the back lines. Baskin looks pretty stoked on this Osiris pick, bouncing around a little bit. Also pretty good against that Zhong, the natural healing.
This looks like a Hades pick to me.
On enemy?
Yeah, I mean, given the fact that Hunbots can pop beads early, force weird rotations, Zhong doesn't really have a way out. Getting locked down and increasing his own protections, Hades will be able to do a lot of damage to this team, and we've seen Saltmachine go to it a few times.
The issue with drafting a Hades on this lineup is it makes you very much all in, right? You're kind of a one-trick pony. Once that Pillar of Agony is used on top of the Hunbot's ultimate or the Zhong ultimate, you have very little re-engage from that squad, right? With the exception of something like a Thor, right? I mean, Hunbot, he dumps his spells one time and then he has to kite around the edge of the fight. They're going to take a Chaac on the side of enemy. That's going to be the solo laner to synergize with the big AoE.
I'm taking credit. Chaac and Hades are the same character.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. Both very passive farmers. And Chaac, I mean, Chaac, generally speaking, is a wet paper bag in the solo lane. I mean, he just kind of sits there and farms and there's no real chance to kill him or for him to kill you.
He's just vanilla.
Yeah, he'll farm up, but be safely farming against Osiris. Although the Chaac pick into Osiris is a little bit questionable, considering that Osiris does bring the anti-heal to the table. Thor, obviously going to be drafted on the side of Cloud9 there to go to Andy. See him nodding his head, yes. And the Ullr draft from Enemy as well for their duo lane, Athena Ull.
So, like you said, giving Andy the final pick, puts a little bit more on the table. But honestly, I think Osiris' last pick would have had more of an effect on the draft than Thor. I don't think there was anyone in the room going, yeah, Andy's probably going to pick a Wheelish, right?
You know what I think it was? Baskin probably has one of the best Osiris in lanes.
He doesn't want to lose it?
He doesn't miss abilities. I don't think he's scared. I think he's going with what he knows is going to win and transition to the team fights off of it.
Salt Machine has one. Maybe he didn't want to.
I think Salt Machine's just looking to win the lane right now with that Chaac pick. I think that's the...
He's going to have a... That's kind of a hard ask,
Win the lane. So does that mean we're going to see red pot Chaac then? Because that's kind of how you win the lane, right?
I mean, Chaac's just going to look... I just feel like he's going to look to clear and then play back.
Chaac mid.
Okay.
Zhong solo.
Get out of here.
Right? And then one axe and Zeus is dead.
This isn't envious. This is not my team.
What do you think? I mean, who do you think... why do you think the Ullr in this situation?
I mean, I haven't seen him play anything outside of his 3 gods, so maybe this is just what he feels comfortable with right now.
Fair enough. Yeah, it brings the burst to the table. Obviously, Ullr has pretty decent setup potential with that Athena as well. Makes it pretty easy. The coach is going to shake hands.
That was very aggressive from Drelo.
Yeah, it's Whirlwind, and once upon a time, he was called Dr. Elo. Now he's just Drelo.
Right, he realized that he was losing too much elo, so he had to change his name.
Yeah. You know, one thing you didn't talk about at all is Pain's Athena. He probably has one of the most aggressive Athenas in the game, and he plays it. He gets your beads every time they're up. It's insane.
Yeah, it was also a big pick for Enemy. I mean, they came up big with a couple of Athena drafts earlier on in this tournament already. PainDeViande, the captain and support player here. And, well, to answer that question earlier, Salt Machine not going to be going that red pot. Chaac. No big surprise there, I guess. Oh, that's a $500 lantern.
I'm surprised this year we didn't get the players jumping around the middle like we're going to Worlds together, and I was really hoping that they were going to do it, and then Pain was just going to 5-man taunt.
5-man taunt and the field wall. Yeah.
That'd have been dope.
Well, we're going to have a couple of Transcendence Hunters, so don't expect to see too much action in that lane for now. They're going to be looking to sit back and farm, and it's going to be the story of the Osiris with a Death Toll versus the Chaac with a Blue Stone Pendant. Probably Osiris coming out ahead there. I mean, that's a stain that he gets out of the Death Toll is substantial.
I'm kind of surprised we actually didn't see him go into the Iqbal, considering that he's going to be fighting into 2 physicals. Iqbal boots into something like Midgardian Mail or even a Frostbound Hammer makes him very hard to deal with, and being able to stick to Chaac is really his only way to shut him down. Chaac's ability to get away from Osiris is actually some of the highest in the game, at least from the solo.
But even so, with the Frostbound Hammer, I mean, when he's standing in the rain, he's going to be slowed. It's still not really guaranteed that he can stick to him necessarily.
Well, I mean, if you do get the 2-hit combo into the sickle, you should be able to stick to him with the just small percentage of slow from the heavy hammer. But I mean, it looks like he's going a more safe route. Wants to get the boots online early. In fact, both are doing it. A lack of, I guess, early defense is to be expected in this meta.
Well, there's the classic Zeus clear right there. He gets the lane first from the Chaos side. Chaos side Zeus, very powerful. With not only getting the lane first, but also into the Zhong whose clear is not so great. And the level 1 is going to go pretty substantially in favor of Cloud9 here as they'll take the right side camps, get the lane nice and fast, and be back in time to clear again.
Very few junglers this weekend have been so passive about letting that right camp go. It seems like a lot of people have contested it, and some to great avail. But here it looks like the enemy boys are just going to go over towards the left side and get the safe clear. As expected, Andy starts rotating into the jungle, and they look like they're going to go for the steal, and they'll likely get it.
Yeah, they can't fight into this minion wave. You see already Zhong sitting about half HP as that heal comes through. And even after the heal, still not looking too resilient. Back camp's going to go for free to the side of Cloud9. Checking into the solo lane, Baskin getting the early advantage over Salt Machine.
And maybe very expected. I mean, Baskin has been known to do this even against characters as resilient as Chaac. Another beautiful swing, going to keep Salt Machine locked down. He's got to be careful about the way he positions here. That early game, that level 3 axe doesn't have anywhere near the clear potential that it needs to clear the wave, even with Bluestone.
You know, one thing that should be noted, that early invade on their back camps is really, it's possible because of the pressure Baskin is putting on that solo lane. There's no potential of a Chaac rotating for a fight.
Right, because, I mean, if Baskin rotates into that fight afterwards, it's going to be first blood.
Oh, yeah.
Plus, I mean, Hunbot's into Thor in the early game. That's just, you're rolling dice.
Yeah, a red pot Thor at that.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, if Hunbots gets 1 crit, or God forbid 2, that's one thing. But I mean, if you find Thor in the jungle against 3 at 45 damage to Thor with a level 2
Zhong coming in, Axe going to be on the mark as well. Khepri, he's going to get out of this one okay. Vetium takes quite a bit of poke out of the Xbalanque as well. Poison darts. Why does that ability hit so hard?
I have no idea. The other day we were actually scrimming, and I mean, it does like half your health. It's so the dot is just you can't really realize how much it's going to do. It's an
right. I mean, everyone's out here, talking about the laurels of Sol's 2. Let's not forget about Xbalanque's 2. Hits probably just as hard and just as easy to confirm.
Well, I mean, small amount of damage, but if you get hit by like 4 darts,
and a lot of trouble here is going to be Vetium.
PainDeViande forced to jump away as well. So, I mean, this lane shouldn't be winning.
This is really surprising. I mean, Khepri is really strong, though. Khepri's laning pressure is insane, especially when Pain went aggressive at the start and they turned it around on him.
Rising Dawn continues, I guess, to be maybe underestimated.
You know, we talked about BaRRaCCuDDa being such a passive, farmer, and he's just taking it to him right now.
And look at this. They've already killed 2 of the creeps. There's really nothing Vetium can do here. It's smart of him to be as passive as he is. He knows the creep wave is coming. Should give a little bit of room for BaRRa and Jeff to rotate. No, they're going to...
No, I think Cloud9, what they're doing here is they realize that, I mean, Ullr is exceptionally mana dependent for his clear. And so by putting this pressure out, they can force him to use those spells and put Vetium into an awkward spot later on this laning phase before he goes back for
the idea is they're pushing it up for Thor to be able to come in for this purple buff or to also alleviate pressure from middle.
Mid
You see, they don't know where he is.
Andinster's going to find the double tap. Nope, just off the mark there for a just setup. Couldn't really pour it in there safely with Zhong on the ball. Mid camp's coming back up here in just a moment. Left side and right side going to be spawning nearly in tandem.
Look at this. Andy didn't get that wave, and Adjust did, so Adjust now has the level lead despite the steal on the back camps. This gives them a little bit of room to work with in the jungle. You see a rotation coming from MLC Stealth, trying to keep them honest. But, I mean, Adjust in a really good spot for these mids.
Thor's XP per minute currently sitting under the Khepri on his team there.
And those that look like went to Chaos. Mjolnir's is down. Pain doesn't take the opportunity.
Yeah, with that left side can't miss. Thor actually the lowest farming god on the map right now.
Which is strange. It was the opposite just like 2 minutes ago.
But hey, it's Andy. He'll find a way.
Yeah, he'll turn it around. But it was kind of a weird decision for him to look to poke middle and miss a full wave. That's not something he chooses to do very often.
It looks like he was trying to set up for the purple like you called before. They have been very favored to go into that jungle. I mean, poor Zatman got it stolen like 5 times in a row in one game.
It's their coordination. They can all get to the same spot at the perfect time. And if you can do that on a buff spawning at 3 minutes and try to get a team fight out of it, there's nothing you can do.
That time, Baskin does the blue buff by himself. Thor doesn't quite rotate in time. Gonna miss some experience. And now it's JeffHindla on the right side of the map trying to farm up that speed buff.
Yeah, he'll farm it up with the mid laner. In addition to the jungler there, they'll get this split multiple ways now. Andinster not going to get a full benefit out of it. But Hunter's already falling back to pick up those Transcendences. Looking over at Ullr, level 7 now with Transcendence finish. Old BaRRaCCuDDa still sitting in lane. And definitely has the goal to finish off that Transcendence, but has such good lane advantage. Might as well take one more wave here. Looks like he will, and then you should see the back coming out shortly.
Did Thor use beads at some point?
It looks like he used it about 70 seconds ago. Yeah, I guess towards the time where Batz was jumping on him. Back from BaRRaCCuDDa with enough to get beads as well. I think he was trying to save up for that 300 mark, get a little bit extra off the back. Vetium basically the same timing at this point. Should he back, he'll have it, but it looks like he's going to go for the one more wave. This should also give him some wards, so not a terrible idea.
Teleport 1's been picked up now by Baskin, and will be used to head back to the lane, fending off that Chaac. Batz does have his early blink online as well as full boots completed, so look for that Batz initiation coming sooner rather than later. Another thing to note is look at the interior of the map, Cloud9. A lot of ward coverage there. It's going to be very tough for Just to find that gank, given the ward coverage from Cloud9.
Now, if I'm Adjust, I'm probably looking for stealth here. What do you think we can?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, well, you really want to look for someone without beads because that first time Batz ult can lead
to so much. That's not fair. He didn't have it when I said that.
Yeah, but like I said, the first time Batz ult is really gonna kind of set the pace for the whole game.
Baskin getting 2 ults for just his Lord of the Afterlife burn, but he takes down both the Stormcall and Defender of Olympus to ensure that lane pressure maintains his. He has used his teleport already, considering...
Yeah, this is going to be the play of the left side. Gold Fury, they're going to bunch up right around it is Cloud9. This one looks like it's going to be secured without some kind of miracle hail of arrow steel, but no, Zeus ultimate should be enough to confirm this. Indeed it is. Cloud9 does get the first Gold Fury of the game. They're going to put some hurt out onto Ullr as well. He's going to be forced to leap out in just a moment. Khepri not in a position to follow up. Batz will blink in. No ultimate use. And it looks like it should be a clean disengage. No, in some trouble now is Andy.
Why?
But there is the Khepri ultimate. They'll go ahead and pop it. Looks like Overhand Smash was already being channeled as it came down. And away will go Andy. Gold Fury before First Blood. Not so often you see that one.
I mean, unless you have Hog, right? Like, go Tricks.
I mean, you had the safe clear with the Zeus, though. I don't know.
And so far, not a huge lead for Cloud9, but 1,600 gold has been known to I guess, catapult players. You'll see the EXP difference has changed thanks to Adjust. I mean, it was in the favor of enemy for quite some time, but that Gold Fury and perfect rotation from Cloud9 gives it right back to the boys in red.
You know what's really important about that Gold Fury? He wasted his ult, and they all can go back and get the beads, or those beads are coming off cooldown for that next ult. So the next ult really isn't going to do the damage it needs to.
Yeah, not much was gained right there. I mean, Thor used his ultimate. I mean, it was a beautiful way to shut Vetium down. He couldn't dive into it. He didn't have beads. He chose the boots route. You know, I thought he was going to go wards and maybe beads, maybe even boots 1 plus beads, but he goes boots 2 for extra damage. But it doesn't look to me like BaRRaCCuDDa's super threatened by his 10 gained damage.
There's a Shell 1 out on the Zhong, and something that Aurora was making very clear on the desk yesterday was that under no circumstances should you ever buy Shell 1. It's nearly useless.
Yeah, I mean, I guess he couldn't buy anything else. I mean, he doesn't have wards. It looks like he probably could have gone there. It's 15 protections. It really is next to nothing.
Yeah, and so like he was saying, like basically you should never purchase this item unless you're going to get rank 2 or rank 3
Uh-oh, you're dead.
In will come Thor. Down will go Hunbots. No Adjust ultimate here. Zhong ultimate being channeled. There's going to be Athena ultimate on top of it. MLC Stealth will pop to these ghosts and come back into the fight. And it's going to be into not a very good position as Khaos will get credited for that kill, but here comes Baskin. Going to dive the tower here, Lord of the Afterlife. Spin to win will be enough to clean it up, and not done yet is the Osiris. Going to get dove as Zhong, and that one's going to go to the credit of BaRRaCCuDDa. Nicely done by Cloud9 to get that one onto the Hunter, stacking up that bonus damage. Locked out for now is Vetium. The axe was just off the mark as well. Nicely played by Andy to give his team the corridor to disengage, and Cloud9 will get away cleanly with a couple kills in the mid lane.
You know what was amazing by Stealth there? Even though he did end up dying, did you see him run farther away from the Khepri so that when the Athena ult landed, he wouldn't be spawning at the same time?
Well, what I think he was doing, he was going into the tower to confirm the death.
Yeah.
Just making sure he's like, I'm out of here, boys. And like you said, it forced Athena to go way out of position there. PainDeViande got caught pretty cleanly.
Kill still netted, and but maybe most importantly, a kill on to Xbalanque. Free 5 damage should give him quite the advantage in the lane over the Ullr, who's sitting on boots 2 versus the boots 3 plus 5 Xbalanque as well. Going to be pretty tough to deal with those poison darts already, but now even more so.
saltmachine getting pretty resilient. Level 12 right now. It's got that cudgel online. Speaking of bad items, I would definitely want a shell 1 before I'd want a cudgel.
Yeah, cudgel not giving very much, but that's kind of the nature of the beast with this one. So we're going to have a bit of an initiation here in the mid lane. Looks like it's going to be disengaged, though. Right, I mean, that's kind of the nature of the beast with the cudgel, right? That first part of it is so bad because basically everything that builds out of it is wildly cost efficient.
Yeah, right. Same thing for Cloak, where it's like 10 of each.
Right, yeah, Cloak another good example of that. Hide of the Urchin, Magi's Blessing, everything that builds out of it is really quite good, but at rank 1, definitely leaves a lot to be desired.
Spirit Robe, man.
And the Spirit Robe,
Talking about bang for the buck.
And the Uncommon Sash picked up by Zeus.
See, not a bad item. 700 gold, cheaper than the cudgel, has 100 health on it, plus 20 magical power. There we go. It's a good item.
Cudgel, what, 100 HP?
It's 100 HP for 750. It's just like, guys, I'm going to Frostbound, and I don't have enough. Life's rough right now.
Yeah, but Heavy Hammer costs like nothing.
Yeah, it's like 550 outside.
Anister's going to try to walk down PainDeViande, at least zone him. Beads are going to be grabbed, though. Up into the sky will go the Thor. Xbalanque ultimate expended as well. Here comes the Zhong ultimate. Zeus standing tall, getting hit by these ghosts, and the Khepri ultimate will be enough to save him. Adjust. Not sure about that one. Maybe they just want him out of the fight. One more hit from Xbalanque should do it. No, it'll go credited to Baskin Robin. Now in some trouble here is saltmachine. Here comes the ultimate out of the Chaac. Not going to be enough to save his life. It will be enough to kill BaRRaCCuDDa for now. Going to try to walk down Zeus as well. Zeus wants to fight this. He's going to get a double. Feels like they kind of gave that one to him there. Feel like Zeus could have probably kited a little bit more.
Zeus probably should have just walked away from the fight completely. I mean, we always talk about Chaac not being a super strong meta pick, but that comes down to the fact that his endgame is terrible. But, I mean, the early game and the mid game are amazing.
That team fight, though, a lot of that one comes down to Baskin. Let's take a look from his point of view, exactly how this one comes down. Zhong ultimate going to be popped here in just a moment, and in he will come. Judgment Tether to come out shortly here. And, well, you can't walk away from the Osiris. You see him standing right outside the edge of that Hunbot's ultimate to not get pushed out. He'll find the Spirit Flail over the top here for the kill. Boom goes the Dynamite, and now it's just a Chaac show for a little while. He'll put out the Silence. He'll find 2 kills, actually, in the back of this fight. One of the Zeus as well, but yet another kill credited to Baskin here.
I like the route. I mean, it was really smart of him to use that ultimate there. It just came out like a half a second too late, and saltmachine was able to close the distance to the Zeus. So he gets 2, but I mean, gold on Chaac isn't the end of the world. I'm pretty sure Cloud9 is happy with the way things went there.
Yeah, it's unlikely they're upset about a 4-for-2 trade.
Next up, andinster. I got to assume Mail of Renewal.
Yeah, probably. He's been going the more safe route, so I would not doubt it.
It's been the standard build so far for Thors in this tournament. It's been Jotun's Wrath into Mail.
That full CDR, a little bit of defense, ton of health. Life is good. Trying to make the play this time. Vetium, I think, might be dead here if there's a way for Andy to follow it up. He's going to ult. I don't know if he'll take to the back line.
Yeah, is he looking for Vetium here? No, they're going to go right back down onto Adjust. I mean, they know that he doesn't have really any cooldowns. I believe he leapt in for that ultimate there to get the slow as well. Here comes the Zhong ultimate. It's going to be fired off. Zeus ultimate going to drop right on top of it. Into trouble here is Khaos. Looks like that detonate was a little bit early. A shell was used as well on the side of the enemy. And no kills netted. Gold Fury back up, and Cloud9's going to position for this one. Let's take a listen into the enemy comms and see how they'll deal with Cloud9 forcing a fight.
Keep going, Khepri, keep going. I'm holding back in. I gotta back up.
Where's our
my
fucking...
god. Alright. Go, Saul.
And well, the answer was not that well for enemy. Cloud9 runs over them. You can hear a little bit of dissension in the comms there. Not too thrilled about that Thor really finding his way to the backline easily. And maybe most importantly, yet again, BaRRaCCuDDa finds another kill in this engagement, and it's on to Vetium, giving the Cloud9 Hunter an even bigger advantage, as this one's going to slip over 6k gold and about 8k XP. Gold Fury going down.
BaRRaCCuDDa probably should have had 2 kills there. I'm sure everyone on the C9 roster will be reporting Andy for kill steal.
But you want Andinster to get the kills. If he gets ahead, he doesn't lose.
More than BaRRa?
Andy doesn't lose from ahead.
Neither does BaRRaCCuDDa.
That's true. Well, then who cares who gets the kills?
Well,
I mean,
you like him on the Xbalanque just for the passive
look at
stats.
this guy.
That's true.
How does he have 84? What? Whoa. 8,500 gold versus 6k at 13 minutes?
He's talking about the Thor versus Hunbots matchup there. Andinster, wait, remember he was like the lowest farming god in the game in the first 5 minutes, and now he's nearly sitting. This is going to be, so yesterday we saw a 10k net worth tier at like 17.5 minutes out of the solo lane. It looks like Andy's going to beat that pace. Gold per minute, 500 plus.
Jeez.
That's some farm.
I mean, you saw he completely handled that last fight. The Hunbots wasted his ult on his Thor ult, and he re-engaged right on top of him like it was nothing.
And it was crazy because Vetium, I mean, it was guaranteed he was going for Vetium, right? And then the target switch onto Adjust threw them completely for a loop. Adjust thought he was safe. I thought Adjust was safe. And he winds up choosing Adjust instead of the carry. Vetium winds up not even getting out of the fight. He winds up being so, like, just mentaled out at that point that BaRRaCCuDDa was able to chase him down.
I mean, I'm sure that was the thought process, though, was the Hunbots could come back into the fight that ADC couldn't.
Rooted in place now is going to be Salt Machine. He's going to be hugged as well by Khepri. There's going to be a fight breaking out over here in the right side jungle. Jeff going to be looking to disengage. Baskin, no such nonsense. Thor is up. Thor is down. 2-man stun. Down will be going PainDeViande. It's a nice Hunbots ultimate to clear them out for now, but an even better Thor stun follow-up finds 3. Down will go Khaos underneath the tower. To fall as well is Adjust. One more set of spells should do it. Baskin will put one right on top of his face, and a tier 2 going to be threatened here. No, wait, the tier 1's still up, boys. Let's fall back to the jungle and farm.
Bart, how many more games this tournament? We've only have a maximum of 4 after this. Do you think we will see Zhong?
This is my guess, right? He won't see him in the next game, and if Cloud9 wins that one, they'll just like draft it just like for the mind games.
Huh.
You know, like they'll pick it up, and enemy may not then be a little tilted by the fact that they've gone to it.
But you know, Cloud9, we've scrimmed them a lot. They love the Zhong.
Uh-oh, that's a kill.
Vetium's in some trouble.
That was a bit of a misplay there.
And look at this. BaRRaCCuDDa doesn't care. He's like, I'll throw 3 more shots.
But anyway, yeah, I really feel like Cloud9 will pull out the Zhong anyway. They're really successful with it. They don't. I mean, you're gonna play what you're successful with.
They were pretty down on that Zhong after the Ullr.
After the Ullr set, MLC looked at me and goes, man, Zhong's bad.
Well, we'll see if they learn their lesson.
Well, you may have seen it in the last fight, but the Khepri Shell 3 is online here in the early game, and that should be enough to shut down Zhong. Closing in on that 10k net worth mark. Looks like it's going to be about 16.5 minutes.
Look at this.
Thor putting out 1,300 structure damage casually as well there.
Thor. That's not a thing.
Thor took a tier 1 and most of a tier 2, it looks like, in the mid lane during that fight. Shout out to Andinster. What a player.
But look at this. 11k experience here at 16 minutes.
Oh, this game is Enemy has made this one very difficult for themselves now. I do want to point something out, though, that's a little bit off the beaten path here. JeffHindla versus Polar Bear Mike's Khepris into Zhong. So a little bit of a stretch here. But yesterday, we saw PBM and a lot of Khepri players going Beads Blink over the Shell into this matchup. And I think we should give some credit here to Jeff. I mean, he's died one time. His positioning is generally very good, right? And he hasn't been getting picked without those beads, allowing him to go into an early Shell 3 and not needing the blink either for follow-up initiations. A really an exceptional player here, and one of the definite backbones of this Cloud9 squad, trying to fight into the very, very large and resilient Andinster. He has broken that 10k net worth mark, and right behind him is Osiris from Baskin, but still, very, very unlikely in a normal Smite game you would see the jungler out-farm the solo lane.
I mean, That's just, that's not only incredible, but for the fact that Andy was also the lowest farm in the game at like 3 minutes. Like how he has turned that around in 14 to hit that 10-minute or that 10K mark. It was at 16, like 37 that he hit that, and that timing is not okay.
At some point, enemy's going to look back at this game and go, "How did we let them last pick Thor?"
You know, that early game, we keep talking about how he wasn't farming. I think he was just waiting for the team fight. He knew that they were ready for the team fights, and he didn't need the farm for it. And it's kind of showing. They've won one team fight. It's snowballed into Gold Fury, towers, everything.
This is what we thought Enemy was going to look like coming into this tournament against TSM. And then against Envy.
Chaac's in a lot of trouble here. He's going to get hit by the lightning up into the storm call. Down he will go, rooted out for now. Rooted again by the Khepri.
And
in comes the Rising Dawn, and down he will go. Credited to andinster yet again. That's his 9th kill in this game. Up will go Thor. Who is he looking for on the backside? It's going to be Batz. Batz beats Taken, even though he's off the mark. Takes a ton of damage going back, and why would you blink there? Adjust. He wanted to fight. Andinster is divine. 9 kills in 18 minutes. If you're doing the math at home, that's 1 every 30 seconds for the Thor.
What?
Yeah, dude. 4 times.
70% of all of Bart's stats are 100% true.
About 1 every 2 minutes here. Still, I mean, that's a crazy pace.
Nonsense.
Yeah.
In a professional level, it's more than professional level. This is the top 2 teams currently in North America, and he has a kill per 2 minutes with 5 assists on the board and more gold than you would possibly know what to do.
Looks like Cloud9's going to go farm out the jungle. They're going to BaRRaCCuDDa split push this, or well, split push, but split out this Gold Fury here. They're going to go ahead and choke out the rest of enemy, as BaRRaCCuDDa's going to have no problem soloing this bad boy down with the Transcendence and Soul Eater online. And, well, things are going to get from bad to worse here, as this is going to extend their lead close to 15,000 gold and close to 20,000 experience. The fight going down. It's a 4v4 for now, as Chaac is way off to the right side, just trying to push this lane back out.
Vetium forced to pop beads there off the Abduct Tectonic
Cloud9
Rift
going to
combo.
fight? No, they're going to farm out the jungle. Okay.
Ullr without beads, though. I mean, especially beads 3, like that's 3 minutes of just constant fear of Thor jumping out of the jungle.
You know what's scary here is usually at this point you're down this much gold, you're like, let's fight at the tier 2 towers. They have 1 tier 2 tower left, and that's probably not going to be a fight by that point. The gold lead's just
actually
it's
been at 14,000. I mean, I don't play in pro games. At 14,000, when I'm down, it's please F6 before I leave the game, right?
I feel like probably by this point they might be looking at the next game, honestly. Especially when you see them getting picked, that makes me think they're not really talking about where the other team is and more just about what went wrong and what they can look to do in the next game.
Man, is North America really this separated in skill that Cloud9 can do this so freely?
I think that enemy has a particularly tough matchup versus this team. Cloud9, generally speaking, plays a game that is predicated on them not making mistakes and you making the mistakes. And when you see the wins that enemy took, they took them against teams that were generally aggressing into them and allowing them to counter-initiate. And here, Cloud9, while still playing aggressive, I mean, they always keep kind of, 1 foot back in case they need to fall back. They have an exit strategy out of the fight. You've seen a couple times andinster saving his wall so the team can disengage, these types of things. And I think it's just Cloud9 not giving enemy the normal footholds that they got in this tournament.
I saw some player touch his head like, oh no, I made a mistake, but I'm looking through the actives, I'm looking through the ultimates. It doesn't seem like anything was fat-fingered.
Well, here we go. Tier 2 going to be assaulted by Cloud9. Let's listen in on the comms for the boys in blue.
Good poke. Reset fire. I got a bunch of roots. I got the point. I'm ulting. Look at who in the back. Look at who in the back. I want Chaos. Nice. I'm on here. Dive. Ulting up with you, Baskin. I'm ulting up with you, Baskin. I'm in. Huge jump. I want Phoenix. I'm resetting. Yeah, okay. Yo, push mid. Go. Someone go mid. Get the creeps. I can just tank. Somebody tank. Yeah, let's get the creeps. We have double damage. That's fine. It's fine. Nice. You just commit. Can we end? Nah. Let's just not try. You want to reset for fire? Reset fire. We're not gonna lose a fight, we can just back.
Classic Cloud9 comms there. Can we end? And then the voice of reason, BaRRaCCuDDa. No. Let's not.
Let's not do that.
Let's play it safe. Let's guarantee this victory. 20 kills to 5 through 21.5 minutes, 19K gold, and 23,000 experience.
I love the call from Andy in that fight. Everyone's going crazy in the back line, except you see Baskin break through it, go all the way to the Phoenix, start fighting 2 people, and you just hear Andy just yelling, I'm ulting, just go. I'm in there with you. I'll be right behind you. Baskin gets the Khepri ult. There was no way to kill him. There was no way to peel him, and then Thor dives down.
Actually, I think that was Jeff. I think it was Jeff saying dive, I'll Khepri ult.
Oh!
Andy was saying I'm up. I'm like he was going to be in
there.
there.
Andy was saying he was there. Yeah, they were both doing it, but that was actually Jeff in the call saying, I got ult, go, and then you saw the ultimate from Khepri, as you mentioned, come out right on top of Baskin. And
I was watching Thor go up to the air. I thought that was andinster.
I don't think andinster talks. He's a quiet guy.
Dude, I wrecked.
Yeah, I think that's just what he says. Like, they're going to be like, I don't know, can we win here? He'll be like, dude, I'm 10-0-7. And now they
10-0-7 with a fire giant.
So far ahead, he's going to go Titan.
What's up?
Andy's picking up a Deathbringer.
That's what he does when he's ahead.
That's his 5th item.
Is that wait? I can never. Is that short sword or is that winged
No, it's short
adventurer's
sword.
blade?
When Andy is ahead,
Yeah.
Andy goes for crit
Deathbringer.
on Thor.
Well, like the
That's
standard build
hilarious.
that we've seen out of the Thors has been these power boots into Jotuns, into the male, into Brawlers.
Brawlers, Titans.
Has been the the kind of the normal build up. Here you're going to see feeling himself a little bit. He's going to go Titan's Bane, and then feeling himself a lot. He's going to go Deathbringer.
No, and it's really strong. I mean, if you ask him about it, he will say it wrecks. He autos for like 400.
Well, I mean, yeah, if you crit, remember, it's the 45 damage in a team fight, right, that normally would be added ×2 plus another half.
Oh, my, oh, my. Hunbot's ultimate's going to use as he goes down. That was really the last-ditch effort there from enemy. It was a big Hunbot's initiation. Ullr not going to cut it here in this one, I don't think. I mean, he kind of got run over in the lane by the Xbalanque. A Zeus ultimate down on top of the Order Titan, falling under 1,000, under, well, any HP, and down will go enemy. Cloud9 not showing some of the weaknesses that some of the other North American teams showed into enemy. It seems like this team is not a team that will underestimate any opponent. They seem to prepare pretty much the same across the board, and it was certainly successful in this venture.
Now, normally we see this extremely aggressive Pain Athena dive in, grab some beads, Adjust will blink in afterwards, and just fear everybody, and they'll get a huge amount of kills. That never even had a chance to happen. Adjust was just either out of the fight, killed, or had to use his ult defensively every single time.
Yeah, Cloud9 seemed to really overwhelm enemy in this game. I mean, I don't think that we saw PainDeViande get even a 2 or 3 target taunt in most of these fights. He was everyone was so isolated by the Thor walls and the disruption from Osiris in the backline.
I mean, what do you do against Andy's Thor?
You saw him. He was the one aggressing. He was out-aggressing Pain's Athena, which is supposed to be one of the most aggressive things to play against in the game. It was amazing. But I think it did kind of fall on Adjust, too. He used his first 2 ults, didn't really get anything off of it. You saw him kill a Khepri, someone with Khepri ult, finish him off. And
twice.
I mean, that can, I don't want to say he's tilted, but that can kind of tilt you and make it difficult to finish out the game.
It's also a big thing about this Zhong pick for me. Taking Zhong into Zeus, one of the things you really lack versus Isis, Agni, Poseidon, a lot of other mid laners is real kill potential onto the Zeus, right? You're going over time. Zeus does excel in that game as well, right? So if he's going to trade his Zeus ultimate for the Zhong ultimate, it's very likely that the Thor rotation then is able to pick up that Zhong on the backside, right? Had Khaos played the Agni that we've seen a couple times, it does give you a lot more kill potential and synergy with that Hun bots onto a mid laner like Zeus.
If Game 2 shapes up like that, I mean, this is looking like the Swift 3-0.
If the next game goes 20,000 gold in favor of Cloud9, I don't see enemy making a Game 3. What do you think, Weekend?
No, definitely. I called it 3-0 unless enemy was still on a high from the other day.
Okay, well, guys, let's toss it over to the analysts to hear what they have to say about it. Kelly, please take it away.
Thank you so much, Bard. As we've seen with this tournament, it has been a tournament of upsets, except for Cloud9. They decimated that game. They were never really behind. Who do you give that credit to?
Definitely the homework of Cloud9. They all did their homework. We saw them baiting out the first pick, Zhong, and they countered it with the Khepri and the Xbalanque for late game. And they knew they would have lane pressure with the Khepri, Xbalanque, and also the Khepri mitigating all the damage of the Zhong specifically. They had the shell to counter that as well. And they just were not worried about Zhong, especially against the set from Ullr. Every single Zhong game lost in that set.
Andinster was 11-0-8. What do you have to say about that, Incon?
This was Andy's game. You talked about it earlier. Andinster's Thor. It's absolutely incredible, and this was the best Thor showing we've had this entire tournament.
Easily.
He hit all of his skills. His rotations were on point. His decision-making was excellent, and that was how Thor should be played.
Yeah, we were talking about how Thor was kind of underperforming, not doing that much damage, and I think we all take that back right now. He really showed us how great Thor can be. Who else do you think was on Cloud9's side that really shined this game?
It was definitely Baskin out-rotating saltmachine, and that's mostly due to the fact that the Osiris has a better matchup than against the Chaac. He put him under tower a couple times, was able to out-rotate him. He didn't even have to teleport to some of the team fights. There was one team fight around the 10:30 mark where C9 had a 4 for 2, just because Baskin was there about 10 or 15 seconds before saltmachine.
But saltmachine, we knew him in these previous games for being so good at rotating. Why did he falter on that?
I'm not exactly sure. I think he was trying to min-max experience sometimes, and if Baskin gets control of the lane, sometimes at that solo you're like, I can't risk losing this wave because sometimes rotations are fake or fights will not happen. So if you gain lane control and you rotate, and then your opponent rotates as well with that while missing that wave, they get like a level or two behind, and XP leads can kind of just add up if you keep rotating to fights, missing out waves because the opponent has lane pressure, and the opponent doesn't force those fights. So it's a lot of mind games, but at LAN, a lot of times, like when solo laners try to rotate, it's like time for fighting.
And Con, in the previous pre-show we had, you mentioned how PainDeViande on Athena was so strong and that they shouldn't give it to him, but they did, and it didn't seem to do too well. Why was that?
This game, his Athena actually turned into a weakness. The reason why it worked so well for them is the constant initiations. But they were behind in every single lane, and Pain was still trying to force the initiations because that's how he's used to playing the Athena. He loves going in and looking for the plays, but a couple times he was initiating when they had 2 people dead going in for 3v5s, and you can't be looking for those fights as much as he wants to be when you're behind already.
And that's the key for me. We actually listened to the comms a little bit. I'm trying to remember what, I think it was at the 13-minute mark. Yeah, Cloud9, they were forcing Gold Fury. They got 2 picks very quickly. They forced a Just out. And then they killed someone else, I don't recall who, and PainDeViande is like calling to fight. It's himself, Zhong and then Ullr, and they're down like 2 to 3 levels each, and it's a 3v5. Then he's like, taunt, go, 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 and he's like screaming, go, and then like you hear the rest of the players that comes, I gotta get out, I have nothing. Like, it's just you can't aggress into those 3v5s, and enemy, I think, do suffer sometimes if they get behind, because what they like to do is force team fights and fight constantly, and it works well when you get a little bit behind and then you force the fights and they come out even, but they were forcing fights and they were losing them and losing them hard, and they kept forcing fights and the fights just got worse and worse. It was like a 3-for-1, then a 4-for-1, then a 5-for-0 and a Gold Fury, and just like they kept trying to force stuff when it wasn't there.
I think also the Athena, it didn't shine as much as the previous set for them because they had the Agni in that set where the Athena would taunt into the Agni bombs. This set, they were behind early, and the Athena Zhong just didn't match up compared to the Athena Agni.
So what do you guys want to see enemy do to take a game off of Cloud9? Because like the caster said, this looks like it's going to be 3-0.
Yeah, they're going to have to adapt to their picks and bans. Obviously, C9 is prepared for Zhong, so I don't think enemy should necessarily go for that. They should go for something that would work more efficiently with the Athena if that is opened, and maybe they'll go for the Khepri because obviously JeffHindla was very efficient at using his ultimate. It allowed andinster to just go so aggressive. We saw that last team fight on the left side, Phoenix, when we heard the comms of C9 where he was saying, go, 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 I got ult, I got ult. And then we actually, what I noticed in the comms was on the bottom left picture, we saw Vetium. He was actually laughing. Like, they knew they were so far behind. His mentality was at a point where it's like, okay, we lost this game, you know, but he's still having a good time. So that's good for enemy that they're probably not too worried about that game.
I mean, shouldn't they be worried, though?
I mean, not necessarily worried, that's the wrong wording, but like they're not taking it too much to heart. So that allows them to focus more on the next game.
All right, Adonis, what do you want to see out of enemy?
I want to see, I think this is very close to Epsilon Paradigm in the sense that the lower seeded team in enemy is going to have to run some pretty high pressure lanes because they aren't very... Cloud9 is so good when ahead. Like, we can set it on the cast. Like, when andinster gets like early kills, like it does, like give them to andinster. Like, don't even give them to Xbalanque for the stacks. Like, andinster is that good from ahead. You can't let Cloud9 get ahead, especially if you're a team that typically struggles from behind and recovering.
All right, guys. Well, I believe we are ready for game number 2. Let's see if Cloud9 can take this 3-0 or if enemy will upset another team to the casters.